Welcome to this edition of the CE Fintech Tour of UNCHAIN, where we focus on the Czech Republic, a powerhouse of the CE region, and a very nice place to visit as well. If you ever go to Prague, you will not be disappointed. My co-host for today is Ondřej from the Czech Fintech Association, and I would like to welcome you on screen. Thank you. Hi, Ondřej. Welcome.
Hi, David. Welcome.
I really appreciate you for making this happen and working with us to bring all our panelists we're about to introduce as well. I've been looking forward to this one specifically since it's such a special country for the region. It's, let's say, not physically large, not enormous population, but punches well above its weight in terms of effects, in outputs, in quality of companies and startups and professionals. So it's one of my favorite places, put it that way. Highly appreciate it.
Thank you for nice words.
Oh, okay, it's true. So I would like to kick this off with an invitation of you to tell us more about the Czech market, so we understand the ecosystem and how things are going on in the Czech Republic.
Okay, thank you for the word. Czech Republic is quite a nice place to set up a fintech. We have some plus, but to be honest, we have some cons too. The plus is, we have a stable financial system. We have strong technical education. We have a lot of experts in Czech Republic, and we have good geographical location. It's quite important to set up a business. But in a cons, we have a small domestic market, 10 million people only. Czech crown, it can be con because every around us except Poland pay with euros, and we have Czech crowns, and sometimes it's problem with license, because to get license from Czech National Bank takes more than 1 year in average, and it can be problem sometimes. But this is the reason why we have stable financial system, that there is some plus. And back to the market, we have almost 200 fintechs, regulated or unregulated, in Czech Republic. And this system, the fintechs, benefits from the related sectors like cybersecurity. I think that everybody knows Avast. Right now it's part of the GEM, AVG or Asset, blockchain firms like Brains or Trezor, or e-commerce players like Alza, Zásilkovna or Rohlik. They produce a lot of experts in technical business and via education, and it helps to fintech ecosystem to grow. For example, from the almost 200 fintechs, I think that, for example, in Czechia or around the world, a lot of our fintechs take care about the cybersecurity of the financial system, like companies Vultra or Monet Plus, maybe Threatmark or Resistant AI. I think that you must have heard about these companies.
So you're saying it's a small domestic market, export focused, growth focused, not necessarily a financial center by itself, but it's clearly a center of expertise and competence. So it produces high quality people, companies, and that grow abroad, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think that most of the expertise in Czech Republic is in the cybersecurity or in the payments. Because I think that companies like Dateio or Tapix with payment data enrichment, or Spendy or Budget Bakers, which is the wallets for personal finance. There's millions of downloads around the world, and it's Czech companies based in Prague. Quite know.
Okay. But I mean, it's known as a wealthy, stable country with a good financial system. So yeah, maybe it doesn't have the largest amount of capital around, but it's enough to develop companies, and it's enough well connected as well. On top of that, the geopolitical situation of Czech Republic, right? You're in the middle of Europe. You're bordering on Poland, Austria, Germany. I mean, you have good borders and good partners around, which is also helpful, I can imagine. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And we have strong infrastructure. For example, we have the bank ID. It's identification standard in Czech Republic. When you want to contact the government, you use bank ID, and it works quite well. And I think that, for example, this is something would we discuss with the partners, and this is we are at top on in Europe, bank ID, or we are ready for the EU wallet and stuff like that, thanks to the strong infrastructure and the high technical education in the Czech Republic.
So you feel positive about the future of Czech Republic? I mean, going forward as a marketplace, competitiveness in the world, you think it's going to improve or stay the same, or how do you feel about it?
Yeah, I think that we are working on it. For example, last week, our Czech Fintech Association president, Miroslav Lukáš, went to the Asia with Czech government, with Minister of Finance, and they do some lobby for Czech fintechs in the Asia and Pacific region. We have a lot of contacts from here, and we are doing a lot of work like this around the world. And we have the service, we have the product, and now we are looking for the partners and the clients in the world.
You say there's a lot of companies with a lot of growth potential that are growing abroad, and the government actually has a function, has a network to support that growth as well. I'm reading into this.
Yeah. For example, right now we set up the brochure of Czech fintech, and every Czech trade in the world have this brochure and show that Czech Republic is good in heavy industry, in the automotive, and in cybersecurity and in fintech. And it's quite good for us.
Good industry to be part of.
Yeah, because everybody knows Czech Republic only because of the beer.
Hey.
And it's time to change it.
There's beer in an amazing city called Prague, which is just astoundingly beautiful. And every time you go there, you're like, how does this city even exist? Because other places are not as beautiful.
Yeah. But it's quite good to prepare some visit in Czech Republic. You can find nice work in the fintech industry. You can find nice girls here, and beer is cheaper than water.
Very good. So, Ondřej, I think we should go over to the panel. We have 4 distinguished guests today, all of which that you know personally, which is very nice, and that are also now familiar with UNCHAIN, which is nice. I would ask you to introduce each of them in turn, and for them to join the panel, so we could start our general conversation. Thank you.
Okay, maybe the first is Michal Prazny from Global Payments. The second is Dovica from the Dateio. The third is Jan Lastuvka from Lemonero, and last is David Groh from wflow. Welcome, guys.
And that's the whole gang. Gang's all here. Thank you. No, thank you very much for joining us. I mean, it's an honor to have 4 very interesting, intelligent people all together in a panel just to take time for this. So it's highly appreciative. I hope to have a general conversation, so we all join in together in this conversation. So feel free to interject with any of other person's answer or respond to anyone else. Do not just talk to me. I'm not that interesting, I promise you. No, but I really do appreciate taking the time. Let's start with Ivan, since we're at the same height here.
Hi.
So you're from Dateio. Please tell me a bit about Dateio, and start off with that.
Thank you for the invitation. I'm Ivan Dovica, and I'm co-founder of Dateio, which is a fintech we founded in 2013. And we specialize in, if I say in general, leveraging value from payment data. So we have 2 products. One is, Ondřej already mentioned that, topics, which is payment data enrichment API, which makes from unstructured payment information something reasonable you can use and you can find value in that. And the second product is Dateio platform, which leverages the data and provides end customers in banks discounts and cashbacks.
That's cool. That's cool. And you're a homegrown company in Czech Republic, which is amazing, right?
Yeah, and actually I'm saying that we are older than word fintech itself, because I was digging back into Google Trends, and word fintech started to trend around 2015. Yeah, before, and actually I remember that when we founded company, we were not talking about us as a fintech, because that was not used at all.
Michal, just the next one. Thank you for joining us as well. Global Payments is a huge company, well known to everyone. And you are head of sales in here in Europe. So if you could tell us more about Global Payments and how you are you set it out of Prague, or is this just one of the offices, or?
Okay. So my name is Michal Prazny. I am in Global Payments Europe, responsible for sales and business development. As you said, Global Payments is not exactly fintech. So Global Payments is really big global company which operates on every continent. And in Prague, we have, let's say, the branch which is focused on the Central Eastern Europe mostly. And I think why we are here, because Global Payments is payment processor. So we process every type of payment on the acquiring and issuing side. And our typical client are merchants or banks. However, because of the size of the market and the sales cycle, 2 years ago, we decided to create a special product for fintechs, which in fact enables the fintechs to get faster access to payments, payment cards, prepaid cards, and so on. So in fact, we are using our core, which is licenses, stability, cooperation, and so on. And we provide this through our new platform, which is issuing as a service to the smaller companies. Yeah, so they can really start with the payment cards much more faster.
That's cool. Very cool. And you try to expand your footprint throughout Europe. And how well are the markets where you're less represented, more represented? Are you target markets you're looking at?
Yeah, generally, with our core business, we are present in more or less every country in Europe, UK, and others, Asia, and so on. With the big banks, our most recent successes are in India. However, with this particular issuing as a service, we are focused on the European Union. Yeah, so we have both the regulatory license and the scheme license, so we can offer our services in the European area.
Fantastic, very cool. David, sorry to move over. You again, another Czech company, which is part of the exciting part of this panel. Is there's so many Czech like homegrown companies, which is very nice. Welcome. I mean, you do data flow optimization as well. You started this company, and please take it away.
Hi everybody. My name is David Groh, and I am a co-founder and CTO of wflow. Here we share a lot of companies call us wflow or wflow. It doesn't matter actually, whatever works for the customers. And we didn't start it as a fintech. We actually started as B2B SaaS in 2019, and what we are doing is that we automate via AI platform for automation of accounting document. So we are like accounts payable platform, and we turned fintech actually recently because we are also now processing or working with the business payment cards. So we are now offering in Czech Republic like a complete spend management platform. And regionally, we are also present in Slovakia. We are entering German market, and we are also looking at the other markets in Central and Eastern Europe.
Fantastic. It's very cool. And Jan, not to forget you, Lemonero. Very cool. No, I mean, look at the technology again, a Czech Republic company, and it's one that's focused on actually, supplying working capital for SMEs with e-commerce and other things. Again, very needed, and especially in Europe. I mean, compared to American market, this is a sector which is underfunded, under focus on. So, yeah, if you could tell us more about Lemonero, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me. First of all, pleasure to be here. Yeah, so Jan, founder and CEO of Lemonero, we founded the company in 2019 with the mission to, let's say, unlock the capital for SMBs. As we've seen, looked at more than 80% of merchants, SMB merchants, they are struggling somehow with access to working growth capital. So we created a platform, which is like digital lending platform with AI-driven scoring model, able to, predict the future performance of the companies much better than the banks. So thanks to that, we can bring more money to more businesses, and we are able to do it much faster in a fully automated digital way. So thanks to our platform, the capital right now is much more accessible for thousands of SMBs currently in the region and also in the Benelux. And we operate in two models. We operate in one, as I will call it, as a bank. So we funded the SMBs directly on our balance sheet. On the second, we also provide our platform as a SaaS. So we started cooperation with the banks or neobanks, or rather like enterprise players. They can use our platform to make the SMB financing better. And yeah, so we operate embedded finance, which is I think one of the topics today. So we can discuss it later.
No, it's fascinating because almost uniquely, but especially in the Czech Republic, if you see it as a hub, I mean, Czech Republic as itself is focused on Prague, a lot of people together, intelligent people, and a lot just comes out. And I was really curious, like, how you feel about Prague and Czech Republic as a fintech hub. Is it missing aspects? Does it need aspects? Is it good? Because you, of course, have a limited local market, only X amount of banks. Was it easy to get things going there, relatively? And how do you feel about that?
You asking me or into the general question?
Yes, yeah.
I can start. Okay.
I think really, but it's a general question.
Okay. I think from my experience, since my personal, let's say, opinion here, is that we started Lemonero with the vision that we have to be an international company because Czech market will be quite small for us in terms of the future growth and numbers and revenue and profit we would like to deliver. So, but at the same time, it's a perfect market for the start for us because there's we started an e-commerce SMB funding, so there's I think 50,000 plus e-commerce merchants. So it was pretty good market for start. I think it's still, from my point of view, it's quite a friendly environment for starting the company. Smart people also, and so on, and also in our let's say segment, it's still unregulated country, so you do need a license here. So it was perfect market for starting this business. But definitely, I think if you are based here and you're thinking, you have to think internationally from very beginning. If you do something, big, I would say, right? I'm not talking about some local unicorns, but I think if you talk about a fintech, you have to think about it as an international aspect. So I really appreciate that any hub or any activity or here as Czech Fintech Association, so any organization, any network could help you with that is super useful. So that's it. And also I think big topic is regulation. Absolutely, I would be happy if sometime will be one harmonized European regulation for this segment. I think it's a cliche. I think it's every single discussion or every single panel I've heard. It's everyone said, look, it will be great if we will have one regulation here. So we will see. It's definitely the challenge you have to think about. And yeah, so that's it. So I'm not sure if I answered your question, but that's my feeling. Yeah.
Not a wrong answer. I mean, even do you agree with that? I mean, you've been here for longer. Obviously, you started a while. If you consider the Czech Republic as a hub for fintech, it is known as a fintech hub, right? It has a high concentration of companies. Have you seen it developed over time? Has it changed over time? The Czech Republic, you think?
Yeah, definitely. I think that many things has changed, and Fintech Association is sign of that we have regular meetings where you can meet people from other fintechs. We know each other. We can meet bankers. And when we were starting, we spend most of our time to arrange meetings with banks. And like 5-7 years later, when we got it to the point when we arranged our meetings and we were somehow known and cooperating with banks, it became a no-brainer. Yeah, so banks were organizing meetups, they were organizing like sessions, they were hunting startups with okay, come and pitch to us. There will be 20-30 people from the bank. I was like, okay. Before it took us a month of work to get one meeting with one person. Now you have 20-30 in the room. So a whole mindset changed. Yeah, banks back then banks were saying, okay, we want to cooperate with fintechs, and they had no idea what does it mean. They were, at the end of the day, say, yeah, but we are small, no reputation, risk. That's part of the game. Yeah, working with fintechs. Now they understand. So a lot of things has changed since then. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's classic, right? The big institution doesn't want to work with the unproven small guy because why? You know, what's your added value? Who are you? Can we trust your execution? That's a classic answer. But have you seen also a development within the banking sector, within the institutionals, to have sandboxes more or dedicated teams to working with new technology, or even allow new products to be launched more quickly? You know, there's a lot of ways to look at it. It's not all about startups.
Yeah, of course. But now they have more experience with doing that, so they're not afraid to test it, because at the end, work cooperation with startups, it's about taking risks. Yeah, it's not about finding a way that there are no risks. Yeah, there are. And yes, I mean, at some moment, innovation managers appeared in banks. In many banks, they already disappeared because it's kind of a tricky to find the right setup that this innovation manager really brings some innovation. Is not a bottleneck and actually kind of a part of the chain that is useless. So actually, there was also some development in there. So now it's much more open, and now every major bank has working cooperation with few fintechs. Yeah, so it's kind of a standard, and the new are coming. And maybe one thing to say to like general, the size of the country and an opportunity. Yes, Czech Republic is quite small, but not that small. So you don't have that many opportunities, but they're relatively smaller. So it's easier to start working with a bank if you are in 10 times bigger market. So for you as a startup, it's quite big risk, and actually it's probably even impossible to have a first client number 1 bank or number 5 bank. Yeah. Here it's possible because they are much smaller. So it's kind of works. And also there's quite long history of challenger banks. So there was Moneta I think in 90s. Then Airbank came with Equabank. Now there's a Partners Bank. So there are still new banks coming, and they of course push the whole market. So if I see European countries when there were no neobank launched ever, so the whole market is not that innovating and not that kind of a progressive.
You're saying actually it's culturally open to change. Sorry, David, jump in. What do you want to say?
I think Ivan is absolutely right. And for example, us as wflow, we have Czech largest bank, Česká spořitelna, as on our balance sheet. They are our seed stage investor via their CVC vehicle, C-Starter. And we also we have a very good experience with this cooperation, and also the fact that we are now fintech is, let's say, a result of this cooperation, because we joined this card product together with Česká spořitelna, and it's actually a lot of value which we were able to create for us, for our customers coming from this cooperation.
So you saw basically in an open culture where you can cooperate well. But I mean, you have a good culture in your own market. The market's not that big. You want to grow, and that's also what you're all actively trying to do. Is that a big culture shock? Is it different organizationally when you go out of the Czech Republic? Is it just that much culturally easier to get something done or create a partnership in Czech Republic as versus other countries in your experience?
Yeah, I would say we are.
Sorry?
Because we are based in, or at least our branch is based in Czech Republic, we have much more better relation with the community in Czech. However, we also definitely need to deploy the solution to other countries, and we see the big differences, honestly. The first is how the market is innovative. The next one, how the market is also open. So currently we have quite good experience from Romania, where we find some, let's say, like special industry of fintech, which really like to use our services, and it's like relatively easy to make an agreement and start cooperation. And these countries seems to be for us quite open. But if we see, for example, other countries, either there is not such a fintech at all, or they are very much local. Yeah? So they are not so much open, and more than to buy something, they are more looking to export something. Yeah? So we see the big differences in the countries around us.
It's actually quite nice to hear someone be so positive about their own culture, honestly. It's a very open and functional culture. We do well things together. It's a great place to start. That's
This is, by
nice
the
to
way,
hear.
quite interesting and enjoyment points to work with this, to see the different cultures by country, by different companies. So this is also one of the benefits of it.
Yeah, it's very cool. So what do you think? Where do you think things are going? What are the opportunities you see in front of you in this the fintech environment in general, also in the market in Czech Republic? What do you think what's going to change over the next couple of years, and what can happen? Because you're launching new products, new markets, right? Global payments. Michal?
Yeah. So we know the market, and we are maybe in touch with 20 companies from the fintech industry in Czech. So in different phases, different readiness. Some of them are mature, maybe more looking for the better services. Some are looking just for the new services. So we are one of the, Ivan and David talked about the cooperation with the bank and so on. So we definitely also have to do this. So change the mindset to look a little bit different on the life cycle of the fintech. This is not as a bank, so the business model must be different, the approach must be different, the dynamic must be different. So we also created special departments just to deal with fintechs in a very narrow space, but generally we do it. So far, let's say, these 2 years we started the program, we learned a lot. So now for us, it means also to convince the colleagues and potential customers that we are the proper partner, stable, but also sufficiently dynamic. And we definitely would like to, let's say, improve our services for this segment. On the other hand, we are not only trying to sell, but we are also, let's say, looking forward for partnerships, because when we go abroad, any additional service which we offer, it's valuable and improve, let's say, our value. Yeah? So and we are very specialized on the payment. So whatever can be integrated to our portfolio, we can export it to other countries together with our clients and partners. Is something what is in our plan for next years.
I understand. And Jan, you have a focus on SMEs, focus on small companies, e-commerce. How do you see the fintech scene developing in the next couple of years? I mean, what are the opportunities you see opening up?
You mean specifically in Czech Republic, right? Or in
Czech
general?
Republic, but also in the industry in general. I mean, let's be honest, fintech doesn't stop at the border. So,
Yeah, I think, look, it really depends. I've seen that in general, not only fintechs, but startups. I think there's more and more new startups. The VC scene is like more professionalizing in the last years. There's more capital. So in general, the environment is growing, which is, I think, good. And the same, I think, trend is going to be in the fintech, I would say, right? So depends on the macroeconomic level what will happen. So it's like not easy to say what will happen, right? So let's say that everything's going to be fine, and Donald will stay calm for a while. So
no nuclear war. Okay.
Yeah. Everything's going to be in the same parameters like right now. So I think, let's say, I hope that more local fintechs, in specifically SMBs. I think there's like our SMB financing. I see it not only in Czech Republic in general. There's more and more competition. It's much more packed, let's say, segment in the last years that I've seen, like 2019. So which is good for the quality of the services and for the SME. So I think that this trend will continue. Then let's see what will happen with AI, which is cliche and a buzzword still, but I think that currently we are living in the age that we will see like huge changes in environment of the companies. So
you've introduced an AI product, right? That's what you've worked on.
Yeah. But I think that AI, to be honest, AI from our point of view, 2019 was like that we try to work as best with on big data and machine learning level, right? Now I see more data in more like automatization or AI agents and like more like autonomous thing that could help you to build a company or create better service for the customers. And nowadays I see that could be like totally game changer. So I still think that will change a lot, and that could, I think from that point of view, I see that Europe has a chance here, not only Czech Republic, to play the key role, because that technology could help you to scale faster, to create really, I think, impressive, innovative company with not low costs, but lower cost than before, and then you can adapt for the other countries. So it's really hard to say what will happen, but I think in general, more companies will raise. Hope so.
Speed up the development cycle, right? But the problem with that, if the speeds of development cycle in Czech Republic, also do it everywhere else, and it just means you have to do more faster in order to maintain the same market share or the same level, right? So
yeah.
I mean,
sorry, go ahead.
I mean, how do you see this moving past just like we're going to use it, but you're going to have to run twice as fast to stay in the same place. We're going to have changing tools, changing products.
Exactly.
I mean, Europe is changing rails. They're trying to integrate different local payment schemes now. Data flows are all digitizing. There's a lot changing.
Look,
it's not just. Yeah.
It's simple. It's like you can use the advantage and the technology, but everyone else has the same opportunity. So I think the competition will raise itself. So it's going to be harder and harder, to be honest, to compete with the big players in other countries. So you have to stay. You need to have top level people, and to be able to to innovate and create the big products. So I think that nothing. So I think shocking that I'm saying here, but I think we should be ready to think on international level and to use the top technologies to debate and still to be able to adapt on the local custom behavior, because still Europe is like 27 countries, and look, Germany is totally specific country, right? Spain is totally different. So I think that our advantage could be that European fintechs, that we know much better the environment on local level, and we can work with that. Because, for example, as we discussed the cooperation with the banks, look, Ivan is absolutely right, and the guys as well, that banks are more and more open to work with fintechs. But in reality, most of them, and I'm not talking about, I've seen the research and the data that there's plenty of banks that look, we must have the innovation team. We need to talk. We have to talk with the fintechs, but this is typically the C-level voices that are talking and talking about it. But then you need to onboard the people in the middle management, the people that will really implement your service, right? And it's totally different. Like it could be like totally showstopper or like a very strong bottleneck in reality, right? So I've seen data that there's, on one hand, there's like we have to do it, right? On the other hand, but in reality, it's not so many successful implementation, and the sales cycle is really long, right? So, but I think it's changing, right? It's evolving still, but still, I'm trying to say that future is coming quite fast with AI, but then still you have like conservative 27 countries with different local behaviors, so you have to work with that and so on. So like that's it.
Yeah, that's actually true. I mean, being in Europe, dealing with the European market and situations, they always would talk about unified Europe, but it's the truth is it's still very much separate countries, but in many ways open borders and more cultural connection, right? But David, specifically for you, I mean, you do a lot of data digitization, automation, and like that, which is hugely necessary. And you have the European Union also pushing for e-invoices, much more of a digitalization of data also as a mandatory regulatory level, right? How do you see that developing? And how do you see yourself actually integrating with that? I mean, what does that mean for you, and what are the opportunities there?
This is our actually daily stuff which we are working on, and for us, it's very difficult to. It depends on the category. If I'm talking about our category, which is like accounts payable automation, spend management, it's difficult to scale to another country because of several reasons. We are pretty dependent on local specific legislation, VAT legislation, accounting laws. So, for example, in Germany, they have their own specific German regulation related to accounting, which is very different from all the other countries in Europe. And these specifics are in every country where we are. So, like, it's difficult. It's really difficult to scale category as ours to multiple countries, and it's slowing us down basically. But on the other hand, like everybody is playing with the same card, so it's difficult for us, and it's also difficult for everybody else. So this is related to the scaling to different geographies. It's really complex, and it depends on what you are on what you are doing. And related to AI development in AI. Of course, it's affecting us significantly, and it also depends on the category, because some business models are, let's say, more or less resistant to AI disruption. For example, banks are not worried so much because their business model is very stable, of course, and they will be here in another few hundred years as well, probably with similar market shares. But for fintechs specifically, everything is now much faster than it was a few years ago. And for example, we see that our business model can be threatened, and of course we react to that. So it's there are a lot of opportunities coming, but of course a lot of risks. And now everybody needs to be very let's say, concerned about this, and there should be, let's say, these things should be carefully taken care of.
No, that makes sense. I mean, your entire business is focused on regulatory compliance, right? In a way, you have to have the books in order. You have to do it in the right way. You have to file the right forms to the right tax agency. It makes sense.
And we need to bring benefits to our customers during the processing of these documents. So you have to comply. It has to make sense, and it has to, let's say, help people in every country where are, let's say, different behavior, there is different behavior related to treating the accounting and this type of stuff.
Yeah, it makes sense. Of course, it's also defense for your business, right? The difficulty.
It is.
Yeah.
So on one side, it's defending us on the geographies where we are present. On the other hand, it's difficult to enter to new market.
Do you think that's going to change in the future? The European Union is going to iron that out a bit, make it.
Yes, it is. There are regulations on the way which will help definitely. There is invoicing regulation coming, which will probably be effective since 2030 or mandatory for every country. So yes, this will definitely change the landscape and make it say. It will remove somebody's to entry, to put it in this way.
Interesting. So, Ivan, you're the data enrichment guy. That is probably in many ways the culmination of everything we discussed here. You know, data, digitization flows. How do you link it to the markets? How do you launching products out of the region and do data processing, right? Payment processing. How do you see the future? How do you think things are evolving, both market ecosystem wise? Technology-wise, the whole thing.
So AI is the first thing that hits everything on every business. So I mean, we from our side, we are providing data, and data are fuel for AI. So from this perspective, it looks good for us. And in general, I think the big topic and the big lever that changes everything and will change everything is, let's say, the data liberation. Yeah. So there's a PSD2 regulation for some time, not much change, but I think it's slowly changing and evolving, and more companies can touch the data, can work with bank, and connect to bank. And then, of course, suddenly from 5 to 10 potential innovators on the market, which were banks, now we have hundreds of startups. They can try something. Yeah. So that's, I think, is really changing. So more also why banks work with more fintechs, because there are also more fintechs. They're also more used to connect to them. Yeah. So as Jan said, one thing is to say that let's do something. The second thing is really make it happen. But once they go through 4, 5, 6 integrations with fintechs, it becomes easier and faster. So I think that's probably the trend. Yeah. So the and also fintechs will interconnect countries, because the banks are always local. If they have some product, maybe the other bank copies that, maybe not. But now,
Yeah.
if you are fintech, you work with one bank in one country, then you go on to another and another. So suddenly it's more interconnected, and from 10 innovators in one country, potentially 100 fintechs in this country, you have thousands of fintechs Europe-wide, globally. So I think this is, I believe, will change a lot.
Saying the pool is going to somehow get bigger and more
Yeah.
interconnected throughout the regions. Yeah, because when you think about it, a lot of new technology gets, let's say, invented or created simultaneously in various markets. And you get more or less the same kind of companies in various markets. And there's no real reason why that should be, except the difficulty to scale, right? The barriers to scale. Yeah.
You see now Revolut, what's doing Revolut? They do one thing and deploy it in whole Europe at once. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then suddenly all markets are being disrupted, or at least somehow provoked. Yeah, because every bank now has to think about Revolut as a potential competitor.
It is.
Before everything was quiet. Yeah, there were a few banks, market shares was pretty much given.
Yeah.
Now it's more dynamic. Yeah. So, and I think this kind of a disruption, or name it as you want, will change everything.
Yeah, I mean, both. You think about even the neobank phenomenon, how that develops. Dedicated neobanks for specific types of merchants and whole different kinds of interfaces. What does it even mean to be a bank anymore after a while, right?
Yeah, we also, from our topics
Yeah.
perspective, we work with large banks, we work with fintechs, we also with startups. They are just acquired license, and they're already integrating us, and that's also the growing pool opens also room for niche. Yeah, so now you have SME banks.
Yeah.
Most of them are Europe-wide. Yeah, so that's again, you can specialize on something, you can grow Europe-wide. And so that's and also, from my perspective, quite often you see innovation is as a need. Yeah, so if everything is fine, you don't need to innovate. Yeah, why would you? It's just a lot of pain and risks and failure.
Yeah.
Now, as it's more open, there are more dangerous competitors. So now I think the motivation for companies to innovate is bigger. And actually, that's thing of regulated markets versus unregulated. Yeah, so e-commerce market is very competitive. There's no regulation. Banking is regulated, but as it's in Europe, it opens, so there are suddenly much more competitors. So it's starting to behave more like unregulated market.
Yeah, entirely true when you think about it. But you also have the bridges between that. You buy now, pay later is exactly Lemonero, like Jan, what you're doing, exactly the same thing, right? How you connect with each other is this whole new way of organizing an industry, which was so traditional. So, this is the bank, that's that bank. You go into the bank shop, this is your person who works there for 20 years. And now you have a digital bank, can be created within a year with licensing, go out, get customers, deliver products. And then what is even financing? Financing becomes accessing various options through a portal called a POS, or whatever way gateway is used for the payment. So it's we live in a very interesting time. There's no way around it. We live in a very, very interesting time, honestly. Gentlemen, I mean, we can continue the conversation or wrap it up here, but I mean, this is a very interesting topic in many ways. Thank you, everyone here, for joining us, sincerely. Let's start with the Czech Fintech Association, the leader of the pack. Thank you for helping us organize this webinar. And thank you for organizing Drinks in Prague. I've heard they're very nice. Thank you all for coming.
You should visit us.
Bite me, come on. Free beer, always welcome.
Yeah.
No, gentlemen, thank you very much for coming. Ivan Dateio, thank you for coming. Jan from Lemonero, thank you for coming. Michal for Payments, thank you for coming. And David from wflow. Thank you all very much for taking the time for making this panel happen. And see you all in UNCHAIN, 17th, 18th of June in Oradea, which is driving distance from Prague. We also have great flights through Warsaw with a partner with Lot. I really hope you can make it because we can continue this conversation there in many ways. And thank you. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us online. And we look forward to seeing you 17th and 18th of June in Oradea at UNCHAIN. Thank you. Bye.